smoothie. It's so
Smooth up in ya. Down for Bullet Boys? Come on, man.
Bullet Boys.
I know you really want to move me.
No, stop it. No.
I know you'd like to see me try. I'd actually like to start out by telling people sorry for the last episode with it going to full frame. I don't know what happened there, but at least I got it fixed before Jeff came on.
Right.
And that is always a bummer because it kind of makes the humor not work as well because you can't see people's reactions. But
right,
you know, and now today Chris's mic crapped out, so he's having to use the external mic on the laptop. But it sounds okay for today. You know, until you guys put us over the top and we got the big bucks flowing in and we got the hanging mics with the big fuzzy things on them, you know, you're going to have to deal with this is what, you know, you're getting what you pay for is what I like to say. And you're paying nothing. So there you go.
I can't afford a sneeze guard yet. We're in our own studio. We have our own little studio. That's not going to happen, is it?
You never know.
You never know.
Yeah.
Hi. Yeah, here we are. Jeez, what a morning. What a week. Yeah. It's been a week.
It has. I've had a fucking crazy week. By the way, before we get into that, episode 16. And today on the episode, we have drummer extraordinaire Charlie Benante from Anthrax is going to rank the Jaws films with us, which is going to be a tough one. It's going to be a tough ranking. That's going to be hard.
Yeah, it's going to be so difficult. I have no idea what's going to be 3, 4.
I can't figure out what number one's going to be. That's the one that's going to be the.
That's the one we should really talk about, I guess. Look at that.
Wow, look at that. That's service.
That's a fruit smoothie right there. It's been crunch week trying to get this stuff built for this movie. I'm doing a movie for, I guess I could talk a little bit about it. It's called Uma, and it's a kind of a ghost horror movie. Produced by Sam Raimi's company and Sony.
It's called the what? What is it?
It's called Uma.
Uma.
UMMA. And it's kind of cool. So I've been building some things for that I can't talk about. But it's been crunch week. And so I've had so much to do. And it's been hot this week. It's October. It's middle of October in Southern California. It was 97 degrees this week, which was driving me crazy in the shop. Lots going on. Other gigs coming, which is great. It's starting to pick up. Next year looks very, very busy for me, which is exciting. Very busy. Unfortunately, a lot of it is going to be out of town, I think. Most of it, for most of the year.
Starting when?
Starting January.
Oh.
I go to Australia in January.
Damn.
Yeah, I have to go there.
Or excuse me, crikey.
Crikey. I have to go there and quarantine in a hotel room for 14 days per the Australian government. I have to go there, quarantine for 14 days. You can't leave the room. You can't even stick your head out the door to wave at your, coworker across the hall or not. You can't. They bring you 3 meals a day and you sit in that hotel room for 14 days. You get off the plane, go through all this screening, and then you get on a bus. And it's all run by the Australian government and everything because it's all protocol. And that's why they're doing so good there. So you get on a bus, they take you to this government-sanctioned hotel. You get off the bus, they escort you into your room, shut the door, and you can't come out for 14 days.
Well, I know we'll be making some episodes during that.
Exactly. Probably one a day.
You're going to be like, Sean, can we do another episode? Fucking going crazy.
Yeah, I'm going to be like, it's going to be like Old Boy. I'm going to be in there. And
slide your meal under the door. Like
exactly. So
is that what they do? Or they just, how they bring you food? How's that work?
I guess they leave it out your door and then you open the door and take it and put it in. I don't know. Maybe it's like Papillon. There's a little trap door and they slide it through. It's like a bucket with a loaf of bread. I don't know.
Wow.
But we'll see. But that's, so.
Better bring some good movies with you.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of movies,
Yes.
I watched one of your suggestions.
Hmm.
Capricorn 1.
Hmm. I can tell already.
What? Here's my take.
Okay.
I thought it was great,
Hmm.
except the ending is terrible.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you got this great conspiracy like movie, great actors. I mean, such a great cast, and then you end it with that cheeseball slow mo run through the cemetery, which,
Yeah.
if you think about it, could have never happened because they were 300 miles away.
Right.
And the whole time all that action was happening, they were showing her leaving the house, going to the cemetery, so it was supposed to be in real time. So
Uh-huh.
she was there, funeral already began when they would have been leaving from the 300 miles away. And you
Mm-hmm.
see them pull up in Elliot Gould's car that he had taken from Karen Black. So clearly they had to have driven, which would have taken, you know, 3.5 hours.
Right.
So that part, like, really, all this great thing, you'd blow it with that. I
Yeah.
mean, if they had not shown them pulled up and just showed him running through the cemetery, then you could, okay, maybe they flew him in by helicopter, who knows?
Right.
But since they showed him pull up in the car,
Right.
I had issue.
Right. I get that. I totally get that. It's and also too when he's running, he's like kind of jogging,
Yeah,
like
yeah. And that they do the slow mo, like,
yeah. But I love that movie. That's one when, like I said, when people say what movie would you remake, it's that one. Like it would be so. If you did that now, it'd be so cool.
yeah,
Especially
you could do that good now.
yeah. Curious to see if they had another ending. I should research that. I'm wondering how many endings they went through. Not necessarily shot, but on paper. Like, okay, how do we end this? I'm wondering if there's different kinds. So, well, that's good. You watched it. I'm glad you liked it.
And it's good to see O.J. Simpson doing his thing again. The juice. We need him back in movies.
No, no, we don't.
Why not? He was a good actor. Come on. You didn't think he
No,
was a good actor?
no.
The juice?
The juice was not. I'm not. I'm not wheezing the juice.
Oh
Not
man,
the juice.
you're no fun. So finally, my birthday festivities are finally ending because I've been having gifts trickle in late. I'm gonna show off a couple of those
Oh,
because I
great.
know the people always feel bad for me that I'm not getting enough stuff.
Yeah,
So
you don't have cool swag.
I want to let them know that no, don't fret. I did still get some stuff. My buddy Lawton, who you saw at the party, he sent me this a Gorilla Biscuits box set,
Nice.
and it contains a reissue of one of their classic 7-inch singles, a nice cool like booklet, um, and a really cool action figure of
Oh
their
wow,
mascot.
that's
So
cool.
yeah, pretty stoked about that. And that was a total surprise because I didn't know that was coming. Nay and the girls that work with me at Convention All Stars, they all pitched in and got me an acoustic guitar.
Oh,
Yeah, and I've wanted a really good acoustic guitar forever. I've had a couple reasons why I've never bought one. As number one, I didn't know what a good acoustic guitar was. I mean, I've played guitar my whole life. I know all about electric guitars, but acoustic guitars, I didn't know what a quality one was. And I did not have the patience to deal with the idiots at Guitar Center because I hate those people. So, fortunately, she talked to Al, my old guitar player, or he told her what to get.
yeah.
Got me this beautiful Martin.
Mhm. Ooh, matte black. Ooh,
Yeah, and it's electric too.
right.
Yeah. So
Martins are good guitars. Yeah.
I also got this in the mail yesterday from Waxworks. So they're called Spinsters.
Oh yeah.
They go on top of your, the record thing in the middle.
Mhm.
Although, it's not really the best idea to do that, especially if you have a cover like I do. But it's just a cool little figure. It's Frankenstein, so that's cool.
I just ordered the Bride of Frankenstein vinyl.
Did you get the Bride Spinster?
I did not.
They made one of those as well.
Yeah, I wasn't crazy about how that looked.
Kind of with you on that. I didn't
I
like.
just wanted the record, so
I didn't like the sculpt.
Yeah, I haven't gotten it yet, but when I get it, we will present it. But I'm very excited about that. Super cool.
Yeah, I should buy the record.
Yeah, you should, or they should just send it to you for free.
They really should. Got this in the mail, and guess what? I actually bought this, the new Scream Factory box set. So they won't send me the big expensive things like this. So I bought this. Watching the cut footage from Friday 2 was really cool. There's a really, really cool gag that they should have left in. I mean, most of the gore is gratuitous, and I kind of am happy with the way the film was cut. But there's one gag where Adrienne King, when she gets the ice pick in the head, they turn her head, and it has gone through her face and comes out like here.
Oh, and really?
It's a great gag. It works really well, and they should have left that in.
This Carl Fullerton did all that stuff, and that guy, that was so cool. There's some of the best gags ever in that movie. I love the makeup effects in that movie, and the makeup, the Jason makeup, obviously. That Carl Fullerton did all that stuff. It's so surreal and cool and organic. All his stuff looks so good in that. I haven't seen that. I got to check that out.
Yeah, they've been having a lot of problems with this box set. A lot of disc issues. Apparently, there's been some audio problems and some picture problems, and they've already set up you can go to a website and request replacement discs. At least they're fixing the problems.
Oh, wow.
So that's probably going to cost them a lot of money to have to ship out all these replacement discs. So I requested that. And for all the people that keep messaging me, asking me if part of the fix could be they could add Horror's Hallowed Grounds, and I can't do anything about that.
I've been on the fence about buying that because I already own most of those, of course. And I'm like, do I need it again? But some of the featurettes and stuff, I'm got to get it just for that. But I'm a big fan of that book, the
Crystal Lake Memories.
Crystal Lake Memories. I love that book. I often pick it up and flip through it just for comfort, even though I've read it many times. It's a great book.
Peter Bracke did a really good job on that. He worked on a lot of the bonus features on this too.
Oh, okay.
So
cool.
So we got questions, brother.
We got questions. So many questions.
Oh, but speaking of which, we kind of neglected, our last episode, our stuff before the guest showed up. We only did like 25 minutes. So we didn't really we didn't have a get off my lawn last week. So I bet you some people are a little disappointed in that.
Are they though? Are they?
Yeah, they are. They like listening to middle-aged men rant. So
bitching about stuff. All right. Do you have one?
Oh, dude, I got my lists.
Oh, yeah, you got your list.
Right. Yeah, hold on. Okay, here's one that I actually was going to bring up when I was talking about getting the new Marilyn Manson record. All right, first off, records used to cost $7.99, okay? Then when they went away and they came back, they're charging $29.99 for a record. And their reasoning was, well, there's like only one plant left in the entire world that makes them and blah, 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 because it's not like this mass-produced thing anymore. Well, I'm sorry. All these new plants have opened. It's now mass-produced again. It's the most produced music on the planet now is vinyl over every other format. Yet they haven't dropped the prices.
Yeah.
They're keeping them up there.
They keep going up.
Yeah.
Like some records are like $50. You're like, what?
Yeah. So, but what really chaps my hide is when they don't include a fucking download, a digital download with the record. You want me to pay $30 for this record, but you're not even going to give me a digital download?
Right.
And the new Marilyn Manson album did not come with one. And that pisses me off because I want to listen to it in my car.
Right. I can't play a record in my car.
Nope.
It doesn't have a record player in the dashboard.
There is not. I looked.
Good, though. That'd be cool. Wouldn't that be cool?
Yeah. If you had the kind of suspension that could handle that. So.
That's true. And then you run into like the store and you run in and your records are melting in the hot sun because it's 96 car.
That's a problem too. So
That'd
you
be
need to have some sort of stabilization system for the record player with a cooling system.
A cooling system that runs while
constantly.
The car is not on.
Yeah. I'm going to get on that.
You can get on that too. Yeah.
You don't have a get off my lawn this week?
You know, mine are always the same. I can't count how many times this week I'm sitting at a red light and the light turns green and the car in front of me is sitting there. Not just a pause, but just sitting there. And you beep the horn and the person is on their phone. They're texting. Everyone's texting while driving. It's getting worse. Like literally, I see people staring with their knees while they're texting, driving down the street. What is wrong with you? It's madness. Anyway, get off your phone, drive, or pull over. Get off the side, pull over. That's all I got. That's my
I'm
get
with
off.
you on that.
But it's getting worse.
And then what makes me crazy is that same person that's sitting in front of you texting that you've been sitting there, the light's been green for 5 seconds and you're honk, and they give you a look like, what up, dude?
Yeah. Like they give you one of those.
Yeah.
It's like fucking 10 jars of jelly and no peanut butter, and I'm the asshole. You know what I mean? I don't know what that means.
I don't know. Logan Dumont said, hey guys, what are both of your favorite horror movie film scores of all time? Carpenter's score for The Fog is my all-time favorite. Do you have a favorite all-time horror score?
I don't have a favorite all-time. Any Carpenter is great. I love Carpenter. I was listening to Ghost Story because I was watching Ghost Story, but I was driving in the car yesterday coming back from the shop, and the Symphony, XM Symphony channel plays cinema. They play scores and things on a special show, and they were playing the Ghost Story one. It was really great. I don't really have a fave. I like it all. How about you?
The Fog is up there for sure. Halloween 3, The Funhouse, Creep Show. I like those really exaggerated scores, like Creep Show, is a good one, and Funhouse. That opening credits theme it's just so cool. And then with all the calliope kind of crap, I even love the Killer Clowns score. That just a weird,
I love Psycho. Hitchcock's Psycho is great. Elfman, I love Danny Elfman stuff. What was I watching? And I was surprised at how cool the music was. Thor Ragnarok. It has this weird kind of 80s retro, 70s, 80s retro vibe that they did. So does the tone of the whole movie. That's actually a really good score. I recommend that. So.
It's a good movie, too. It's a fun film. L666 Incubo said, showed my girlfriend Nightmare on Elm Street for the first time. She loved it. This month also marks our first-year anniversary. Any chance of a ranking episode of Wes Craven's filmography?
I'm sorry. I'm still laughing at the way you read his name. Is so good.
L666 Incubo? Why?
This is funny. How'd you come up with that name? How did you come up with that name? What? Read it again.
L666 Incubo. It rolls off the tongue. What are you talking about?
It really does. Okay, what's the question? Ranking what? Wes
Craven's filmography. Sure, one day we'll do that when we run out of ideas.
And we're doing Jaws today.
We're doing Jaws because Charlie's a big Jaws fan. So
I know he's a giant fan of Jaws, of course. He's an avid, but really, the rest of them? Is he like a fan of the rest of them? He's like,
I don't know.
We're gonna find out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Old Omen Road said, hey guys, loving the show. Keep up the great work. Question for Christopher. Did you start out as a musician or an FX artist? I know sometimes what people aspire to become may change over time. Thank you.
Well, thank you for the question. Thank you. No, I was doing makeup and effects before I ever picked up an instrument.
Eric Eltringham said, Christopher, your decorations look amazing. Undead89 said, great show, guys. Is it just me or does Chris sound exactly like George Romero when his voice gets deep? Anyway, always makes me smile because I miss Ramiro. Maybe it's that Pittsburgh, in you.
Oh, that's okay. Because I've never been told that or even thought that, but yeah, you're right. Actually, it could be that the Pittsburgh accent comes out when I get lazy and tired.
Anyway, I met Chris at Whorehound Indy a couple years ago. Usually don't talk to celebs at cons because I'm a pretty big introvert, but Chris seen me checking out the new Myers mask at his table, and we sparked up a nice conversation, which led me to getting in line to meet Nick Castle, who is also extremely kind. Anyways, love the show, guys, and was wondering how you guys feel about Universal Monsters being done on film today. Me personally, I think they should still be set in the Victorian era, not modern day, but that's just me. Take care.
That was nice of you to say. I'm kind of with you on that. I like the old German expressionism, Gothic, type of vibe for those that lend itself. Not a fan of modern day settings for those characters. I like the Wolfman, the Benicio del Toro Wolfman movie. I really liked that movie. I thought it was exactly what I wanted to see, except the transformation wasn't practical all the way. So that bugged me. But I wanted to see a Wolfman running around ripping people apart. It's what he did. And I liked the setting, and it looked beautiful. What are they doing, Frankenstein now, or Bride of Frankenstein? They're getting ready to do Bride of Frankenstein, I think.
Who knows? I just think they should just leave it alone.
I agree.
I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing an attempt at a Creature reboot because they've never done one. For some reason, that's the one they always avoid. I don't know why. And it seems to me like the most obvious.
The Creature of the Black Lagoon?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But whatever. Danny Donata.
Danny Donata, hey, what do you know? All right, I'm done.
He just said best show in town.
I know. Kidding.
Jared Dennison, watching this at the hospital on my dinner break. I love the podcast. Would love to see PJ Souls or D. Wallace as a guest. I have a few questions. He does. He has a few questions, but they actually look like good ones. Number one, Sean and Chris, what is your opinion on SiriusXM's Eddie Trunk's comments about how Kiss doesn't play live and uses backing tracks, how they lip sync for some of the show, and how Paul and Gene are having Tommy and Eric impersonate Ace and Peter instead of creating their own characters like Eric and Vinny did? Well, that's a loaded question. I have opinions.
There's a lot going on there. Well, I'll do mine because mine will be brief. I don't care. I don't care at this point. What those guys are in their 60s, 70s, early 70s now? I mean, what do you want? You're going to see a Kiss show. I get where you're coming from, though. Don't get me wrong. I totally get where you're coming from. As far as the characters go, I don't know. I mean, what are you going to come up with? Give me some characters. I mean, we had the Fox and the Onk. I mean, what are they going to do? I don't think you could do new characters and get away with it, do you? You do. Okay. I get that. I'm totally supportive of that. Peter Criss is the cat and Ace Frehley is the spaceman, and they always will be. They'll never replace it. So I'm done.
Yeah, you said you were going to be quick. My opinion on Eddie Trunk's, okay, so basically, I do think Eddie Trunk needs to shut up. It's been beating a dead horse. We get your opinion, but he beats on it constantly,
Does he really?
Yeah, and I know that a lot of people in the industry are sick of hearing him talk about it. In a way, yes, I agree with him, but I'm not going to go on rants about it. I'm not going to hate the band. I'm not going to not go see them. As far as them using backing tracks, I saw them 2 times on this last tour. I was 5 feet from Paul. I was right up against the stage. I was watching him. I was looking for the lip syncing. I didn't see it. Although, there has been videos of things that looked like it was off. Shit can be doctored. Do I doubt that it's possible? It's very possible they're using backing tracks or whatever. They're fucking 70 years old. Give them a break. I mean, every fucking, even Taylor Swift and shit like that use backing tracks. I mean, they're young. So, whatever. Let it go. As far as Tommy and Eric impersonating Ace and Peter, yes, I think it's disrespectful to those original characters. I don't hold that against Tommy or Ace. Tommy or Eric at all. I mean, if somebody said, "Hey, Sean, you want to be in Kiss? You have to wear Peter Criss's makeup," I would be there like white on rice. That's the dream gig. So I don't hold that against them. If you're going to hold it against somebody, hold it against Gene and Paul. It was their decision. I do think they should have created new characters for them. You could have come up with something. I know Paul likes to joke, "What would be next, Turtle Boy?" You know, but you know,
Ask you a side question real quick.
yeah.
We're on the Kiss subject because I find it interesting. In the past, when you were younger or anytime, did you ever come up with your own Kiss character? Like the fantasy of, if I were asked to be in Kiss and I had to come up with my own character, what would it be?
I remember as a kid drawing makeups, but I don't remember ever having a specific character.
I'm going to put it out there to all our friends and you, and I'm going to do it too. We have to come up with our own Kiss characters if we were in Kiss.
Maybe we should have a contest. Like have people design it, email in the makeups. Okay, let's think on this some more because we got to figure out how we're going to do this.
Right.
We'll have it sorted by the next episode.
Figure it out. But it's going
to
be
fun. You guys can start working on your designs.
Start working. And it's Halloween, so, you know, it goes with the whole time. So let's, come up with your own Kiss character. Mine is going to have to incorporate a beard.
And then if we pick the winner, maybe what we should do is you should paint me up like the winner. What the winning design.
I will do that. I'm so down to do that.
Okay.
All right.
Because I'm terrible at painting my own makeup. I did it for the Tales of Halloween movie. I don't know if I told you the story. So Andrew Cash asked me to come be in the movie. And he said, you know, it's Halloween night, you know, so you got to wear something, obviously no copyrighted shit, you know, come up with your own costume. So I decided I sat in the car with some white and black store-bought makeup and I painted myself up like a cross between Papa from Ghost and Doyle from Misfits. Mm-hmm. And it looked pretty good for somebody who never does it. I'll put up a picture so people can see it. I was like, damn. I was looking in the mirror going, fuck. And it took me like an hour and a half to do. And I'm sitting in my car doing it, like on set, right? So we did the whole night. We filmed. And then they're like, okay, well, you need to be here tomorrow. We're going to finish up tomorrow. So be here tomorrow at 5. And I'm like, I had to replicate it the next day. That's where I had the problems. I was trying to, I took pictures of myself and I'm looking at my phone and I'm going, I mean, it was passable, but it was different. So
that's funny. Yeah. I mean, people don't realize that. That's something that people don't. You have to copy every makeup that you do, even, you know, Kiss or any for movies and stuff. You don't just shoot the one day. You shoot sometimes months at a time. You have to copy it. It has to look exactly the same. Yeah. Because you're shooting one scene, you'll come back to that scene 3 months later, it'll look the same. It's not easy. I want to see that picture. I can't wait now.
See that little doll right there?
Yeah.
That was, somebody made that of my character. So you get.
Oh, cool.
The doll's cute though. What is your opinion of Rock and Shock folding after 16 years? Their reasons being conventions are too expensive. It's hard to do a show and keep the costs low for the fans. I mean, it's a shame that Rock and Shock's going away, but it seems like for the past 5 or 6 years, every year they kept saying it was probably going to be their last year, so it lasted. And then there was someone else who was supposed to pick it up and continue it this year, take it over, but then the COVID thing happened, so I don't know if those plans are going to happen for sure now or not.
I never went to one of those.
I only went to 2. But they were fun, and they had concerts. They had a concert venue, like right next to the convention center. And at night, they'd have like big concerts. Like I saw Typo Negative and Phil Anselmo's band Down, and Twisted and Mushroom Head. They always have like these cool metal bands. We're still on Jared Dennison's questions here.
Oh, jeez.
Now that Jamie Lee Curtis and Sigourney Weaver have done conventions, who do you think is left of iconic women of horror to do a convention? Has Sissy Spacek ever been approached? She has. She said no. I can't think of another big female horror icon that hasn't done a convention. Nothing's jumping out at me at the moment.
Me neither. No,
finally, number 4. He's eating up all your time, people. What is your opinion of famous people declining to take part in bonus features for Blu-ray releases of a film? Example, Pamela Springsteen, Bridget Fonda, Lawrence Fishburne. I personally find it rude that some actors thumb their noses at their earlier work once they get famous and into bigger roles. Thanks for the weekly distraction from COVID. Much love from Canada, Jared. Yeah, I mean, believe me, it bothers me that when I'm working on these bonus features that there's certain people that just flat out say no or won't reply, or they use the old Hollywood trick of, they have their people do it for them, and then you bump into them on the street and they're like, oh man, I totally would have done that. I wish I knew. I never heard. Now, to be fair, a lot of those people probably never did tell them.
right.
Because a lot of times it never gets past that first line of defense to actually get to the celebrity. And that reason for that is because there's no money involved. I mean, if you were contacting, let's say, Lawrence Fishburne's agent, and you said, we're going to offer him $50,000 to do an interview for Nightmare on Elm Street, whatever, then you might get a response. If you're like, hey, we're doing this bonus feature and we really love to have him involved, and it's, nobody's getting paid for this, but it's for the fans. Odds are that agent isn't going to contact that celebrity because that agent isn't going to make any money.
Right.
I mean, that's just the business.
Yeah.
But in the times that I have actually gotten in direct contact with a celebrity and they turned us down, that's disappointing. Ubson Pratt Jr., who likes to put funnies in the comments. He puts little funnies.
I like
funnies too. And then there's Ubson Pratt's comments. That's right, buddy. I took a shot. He said, take a drink every time Sean points at something in the background, like when I pointed at the doll right there. Yeah. So.
All right.
That guy or those Kiss albums. Barlow's Boutique said, also a grunge band that's highly underrated is Tad. They have a great song on the end credits of Edward Furlong's classic Brain Scan.
Okay.
I've never really listened to Tad.
Me neither.
I like Brain Scan. It's fun. It's Dr. Wolfenstein.
Yeah, it's the doctor's in the house.
He's the one to call Dr. Wolfenstein. What never made sense to me about the original Friday the 13th was if Jason didn't actually drown, why is Miss Voorhees so pissed off?
Because she thinks he did.
Yeah, and he's just been hiding because he was embarrassed of what a bad swimmer he was.
Mm-hmm.
Hiding for, 10 years?
Exactly. Eating bugs and leaves. She thinks he's dead, but he's somewhere, I don't know. What do you do? Make a lean-to or something?
He built that little shack in the
Built that
forest.
shack. Long time to do that. Yeah.
And he's been collecting sacks for his head, Candace Janice says, I missed this when it came on. Whoops. Great job, guys. Sean, my husband, said thank you for saying our last name right. Most people can't say it right. Oh. You're welcome, Candace Janice.
Candace Janice.
Jessica J. Jessica J says, really enjoy the ranking episodes. Spencer seems like a cool dude. You guys should try the pumpkin pie Pop-Tarts. They are so good.
Oh.
Now, my problem is I don't like the taste of pumpkin. I'm a big fan of pumpkins, visual, but I don't like the taste of them. So I stay away from all the pumpkin treats.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I like pumpkin flavored things, but not. Some of them are a little too gelatinous, like the pumpkin stuff you get in a can. That I think they put that shit in those pumpkin lattes or something. I don't know, but that's kind of gross. But I like me a good pumpkin treat. I'll try those. I'll try a pumpkin Pop-Tart.
Daniel Caruso. Thanks again for these podcasts. It just keeps getting better and better. I love seeing you guys testing the Pop-Tarts out. That was a cool bonus. Sean, you were talking about how long it took to get you to lose your cool, which made me think of the little bonus feature on the Halloween 3 DVD with he put Tommy Lee Jones, but he meant Tommy Lee Wallace, when you were about to throw down with a couple idiots at a hotel, just wondering if they ran away from you because it looked like you were ready to pound them off camera. That part always cracks me up. Chris, your shop looks fantastic. The stuff you create is incredible. Another awesome podcast. Horns and a pumpkin.
Woo! Thank you.
Yeah, I get asked about that incident a lot. Basically, what happened is the guy went back into his room, came out with a baseball bat, and then the property owner stepped in and cooled the guy out and made him go back in his room. And
what are we talking about right now? What did you do?
Horrors, Hallowed Grounds, the Halloween 3 episode, when I had the verbal encounter with a meth head that lived at the Rosa Shannon Hotel. Alleged meth head. Sorry, I don't want to disparage anybody.
I wish I could play that soundbite over and over again too. You know, on the Halloween 3 episode when I had the run-in with the meth head.
We were setting up a shot. We hadn't even started filming yet, and this guy steps out on his porch and starts screaming obscenities at me, like he was focusing on me. Mm-hmm. Because he actually said at one point, "Yeah, you with the hair." Now, mind you, Buzz and Tommy Lee Wallace both have hair. But I think, anyway.
Is that on the feature? Could you hear that?
Yeah, I didn't put that line on there, but I did have some of our back and forth. And then I think at the end credits in the bloopers, I put in the whole section where I basically started to take my hoodie off and I was like, "Come on, buddy, let's go." And that whole time it was happening, I didn't know my camera guy was filming. I had no clue. I wasn't playing it up to the camera. My guy was just smart enough. As soon as the guy started yelling at us, he just kind of went click and was holding it. So.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. I got to see that. That sounds good. The life you lead, Sean. The adventures you get into.
Oh, yeah. Those are adventures. Jerry L., loving the podcast. Many of the other podcasts on my playlist I'll skip sometimes because not every episode is always my cup of tea. But with this one, I always seem to enjoy the topics of conversation. I'm also nearly a middle-aged fellow, so I'm sure that helps somewhat. Haha. Keep up the good work, gentlemen. All right, fellow Metamucil user. All right.
Easy now.
What? Come on.
I'm not up to Metamucil yet. I haven't got.
I tried it.
Yeah.
It's funny. I tried it because Sean Patrick Flannery suggested it for like helping with weight loss, and because it cleanses out your system. It's crazy. Literally, you can take a shit without wiping your ass. It's serious. It's crazy because it's like it just slides out. I'm just saying. But very much like a laxative. When it hits, you better be ready. Because you'll be sitting there and you'll be like, yeah, hold on, bro. And it's like, it just goes, whoosh,
Right.
I haven't, I tried it and it doesn't taste too good either. It's like a weird orange drink that it's not that great. Anyway, trying to keep you kids informed. This is what you got to look forward to. Any kids watching this?
Right.
It's coming soon.
Just keep moving forward and don't look back, everyone.
That's right. It's all for you, Demon. Oh, yeah! I love your ranking episodes. It's a beautiful thing. When you can hear someone offer a different perspective than you may have, and it opens up your mind to a whole different way of thinking. Not only does it widen thoughts, but makes driving back into these movies far more enjoyable. Thanks for the work you both do. Take care.
No, brother. I wouldn't really call it work, but thank you.
It's work. Dude, I just had to sit through Jaws 3 and 4. It's work.
Yeah, okay.
Mark Todd says, I always stay until the end of the credits. I love the music over the credits mostly, and those crappy advertisements always ruin it. He's talking about your get off my lawn, about the credits thing. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. Brandon Gregory, if you can believe it, my letter was originally longer. He's the guy who sent the long-ass letter. When I got to the third page and still hadn't gotten to the point, I decided that I had to restart from scratch. That aside, I'm happy you guys like the gifts. Thank you again, sir.
Yes, thank you. Love it, love it, love it, love it.
The Ghost Ranger.
Ghost Ranger.
I wish the TV show brought back the old cast to finish off the Brandon James story, but that will never happen. He's referring to the Scream, MTV Scream series. I agree with you. I don't know if they ever even revealed who the killer was. I don't remember. It's been so long since I watched it. The Gibson family said, "Hey, gentlemen, I finally have a question for you both. Have either of you seen The Haunting of Hill House on Netflix? If so, thoughts? If not, and you enjoy a solid ghost story with some twists and turns, I do highly recommend it. Each season is considered a mini-series. The new one came out this past Friday. I haven't watched that yet. Sean, I am still disappointed I was unable to meet you and Adam at Metro this past summer. We almost went, but decided against it. Much regret. Chris, I hope you have a chance. I have the chance to meet you one day. Keep up the great work." He's referring to when me and Adam the Woo went to the Metro Center, the mall from Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. Yes, I loved Haunting of Hill House. I thought it was great. I'm a big Mike Flanagan fan, and I'm very excited to see the new one. Have you watched either?
I haven't seen the new one. I think I saw the first couple episodes of the other one. That's the one with Henry Thomas, right?
Yeah. You didn't like it?
I wasn't crazy about it.
Oh, I loved it. Maybe you need to give it another shot. Finish it.
Maybe I need to sit down and sit. When I'm in Australia quarantine for 14 days, I'll watch that.
There you go. Boogeyman Ben.
He's a boogeyman.
Another great episode. These have seriously become the highlight of my week. I was not aware of Spencer Charnas or Ice Nine Kills prior to this episode, but Mr. Charnas seriously impressed me with his knowledge of the Scream franchise and the horror genre in general. Really cool dude. Sean, just like your top 5 Halloween films, when you all ranked the franchise, you and I have the exact same rankings for the Scream films. I have always thought Scream 4 was seriously underrated, and while not nearly as good as the original Scream, felt more in tone with the original film and stripped out the unnecessary humor for more genuine scares. My biggest issue with Scream 2 was that they killed Randy. It was a cheap shock moment, and I never understood why Kevin Williamson thought that was a good decision. Randy was the horror fan's voice and explained the rules to all the other characters. Still does not sit well with me 23 years after its release. Also, Chris, I completely agree with your get off my lawn rant regarding cable channels plugging their crappy shows during closing credits. I absolutely hate it when they do that. No respect for your hard work or the people that gave the amazing film. Thank you both for continuing to do this amazing show each week. I hope I have the honor of meeting you both someday. Best always. Woo!
Awesome.
I need oxygen after reading all that.
Yeah, that was a mouthful.
Yeah, that's a lot of text.
Lot.
And if anybody knows a mouthful,
it's
Chris
you.
Nelson.
Oh, see, I beat you.
Don Harrison said, "Love how this episode has a great balance of horror and music. Sean, any chance of getting Mike Patton on? Such a great vocalist and did some acting and music for horror films. Thanks, guys. Keep rocking." Believe me, I would love to get Mike Patton on. I'm a massive Mike Patton fan. Mike Johnson, the Runner. He actually put that. He's changed his name to Mike Johnson, the Runner.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Great show, fellas. Got to give a shout out to all the rad fans watching and commenting. Could you bring on one of the craziest fans of the show on sometime? I'm talking about a true badass like Colin Murdy, Boogeyman Ben, Hungry Wives, and all the lovely ladies.
I love that idea.
Here's the thing with that idea. It's a great idea in theory, but if those people aren't as interesting as their names, then it's a bad idea.
Well, we can gong them. We can get like the Gong Show. You have to know that going in. If we're gonna have some friends of ours who watch the show on the show, you better bring it, or we're gonna flat out gong you.
Fair enough. I think it could turn into, like, if you're a fan of Howard Stern, this could be like our own Whack Pack. How he has the Whack Pack. He has, they're callers that call in all the time.
Gotcha.
Yeah. He
Yeah,
calls
let's
them
do.
the Whack Pack. They're usually really weird people.
Okay, I'm excited about this
Okay,
possibility.
we'll look into this. Brandon Gregory says, Christopher, what is your favorite film you worked on and why? And Sean, if you could only visit one more filming location for the rest of your life, what would it be?
You
Trying to
mean for the rest of your life you have to visit this, or you visit it once? You can only visit one more.
one more.
Okay, what one would it be?
I don't know. You answer your question first. Your favorite film you've worked on and why? I'll think about the other one.
Uh, I think I answered this before. I think somebody asked me this earlier on in our tenure here. It's got to be Kill Bill, I think, because it was just so fun. So it was so long. It was like a year, and traveled all over the world and did all this cool stuff and worked with really cool people. And it was an adventure. It was a year adventure and an intense film school. Not that I didn't know about before that, but it was just a different kind of education. So I would say that.
For me, now mind you, I've been to the location, but I didn't get in. I would really love to have a little bit of time to explore the real Amityville house in Long Island, where the actual murders took place. That's something I would love to do. Mikey Weiss said, I'm really hoping that Pop-Tarts tasting becomes a regular segment of the podcast. Horror and Pop-Tarts. It just doesn't get any better than that. Love it. Have a great weekend, guys. Okay, well, check this out. I literally just bought a new box of unique Pop-Tarts the other day. Have not opened them yet. We're supposed to see each other this week, so I will bring you some.
Speaking of Pop-Tarts, remember we tasted the pretzel ones? Those were the chocolate pretzel ones.
Yeah,
right?
Did you get the cinnamon ones?
I got the cinnamon ones.
And?
They're good.
Better than the chocolate?
I wouldn't say better, they're different. They're just slightly different. Little different palette there, but they're good.
I saw them and considered it. Are you at all, did you see my Fruity Pebbles candy bar tasting video?
I did not see that.
If you have any interest in trying one, I bought a whole box.
Okay. Are they good?
They're fucking amazing.
Really?
Yeah.
It's a Fruity Pebbles. What?
Do you like white chocolate?
I do.
Like an Oreo candy bar?
They used to call me white chocolate in school.
There you go. It's basically white. It's basically white chocolate and Fruity Pebbles. It's fucking great.
Okay.
It's really good.
I'll try it.
I'll bring you one of those too. Colin Maddie.
Oh, look who's back in the room. It's Colin Maddie. Hello, Colin.
All right. Greetings once again. Congrats on another informative and entertaining show last week. I have to say, you guys are still the best thing out of my week's entertainment schedule. A little slice of switch off time with you two is always welcomed and appreciated. Questions for you both. Chris, which horror icon would you most like to play, and who would you want to do your makeup?
Whoa, that's a good question, Colin. Horror icon I'd like to play? Are you saying play? Not make, play.
Yeah. Who would, if you played the part, and who would do your makeup?
I like the idea of, Frankenstein. I would love to play Frankenstein. And I
wouldn't need much makeup.
Well, look at who's here too. Mr. Sassy Pants. Mr. Sassy Pants. I would say Frankenstein. And, oh, God, does the makeup artist, do they have to be alive? Like I would have, like.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So it's going down between Rick and Rob, I think. So you pulling Rob out of retirement or
Carl Fullerton? I love Carl Fullerton's work, but yeah, there you go. There's your answer.
Let's see, Sean, have you any The Burning props or Terror Train memorabilia, and have you any Romero related props? I have the shears from The Burning, which is pretty much the ultimate prop, I guess. Got him from Tom Savini himself. Terror Train, I don't have any Terror Train props. You said Terror Train memorabilia. I do have, I have all the masks except for the lizard one, which my buddy Billy Kirkus has. It drives me crazy. He has one of those. Dying to find one of those. I've never seen another one on the planet except the one he has. Got a lot of foreign posters and lobby card sets, a Terror Train. Romero, I don't think I have any Romero props. I don't think I have anything, come to think of it. Nothing off the top of my head I can think of. He said, I heard that the Living Dead Museum in Evans City is closing down, which is such a shame. Yeah, but they're moving back into the mall from Dawn of the Dead, so that's cool. I'd actually rather they be in the mall, although it gives you a reason to go out to Evans City if you want to go to the cemetery. But I'm so glad I made the pilgrimage back in July 2019 to all the Romero filming locations in Pittsburgh, including the museum, Roll On, the 10,000 subscribers, guys. Yeah, we're getting there, buddy. We're getting there. Keep spreading the word. I'm looking forward to those hand-delivered Clover cookies, Chris. Don't let me down, or I'll have Cochran on your ass. Please spare us from having to witness Sean's powdered prune sack. Oh, yeah, I forgot that I was going to do that at 10,000. By the way, my better half, Maggie, who is Scottish, loves your Irish accent, Chris. You guys crack us up. Stay safe. Love you, Colin and Maggie.
Oh, thank you, Colin and Maggie. I thank you. I love how offensive I am doing a shitty Scottish accent to one of our Irish friends. It's so fucking offensive. I'm sorry. But it's fun. I just enjoy it. And you have to just enjoy it, right?
Well, there's another comment. Oh, Colton Seaver said Chris does a good groundskeeper Willie. So, which is pretty spot on. I mean, it is pretty much groundskeeper Willie.
And I kind of look like him too. I'm gonna say hello and welcome and thank you for doing this. We really appreciate it, and I'm a big fan. And thanks for coming out and hanging out on the Nerd Show.
Yes, badge of honor, nerd. Well, how are you guys? Everything good?
Yeah, man. Just been a different year for me, man, and for you. I mean, we're not on the road like we always are. You know,
I know it's the most I've ever been home.
Yeah, I've been digging it personally.
Yeah, what have you been doing with your time during this ridiculousness?
You know, I often tell this story like back in February, March, when it kind of all shut down. I was glued to the TV watching news like 24/7, and I was starting to get really depressed. And it was taking its toll on me. And then my girlfriend said, you got to shut that off, you know, because I see what's going on. She's like, get back into something that you're doing creatively, blah, blah, blah. And then I started making these videos, like these quarantine jams. I asked some of my friends and other bands to be a part of it. And that kind of got me motivated again to, you know, music, and brought me back to when I was like younger and going home from school and just sitting in my room playing drums and guitar and drawing, you know. So I often said there are silver linings during this you know, COVID-19 thing, and that's one of them. And I get to see my daughter and girlfriend every day, so it's good.
Is Carla with you right now? Is she there?
Yeah, she's here. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
She lives here. Yeah.
Oh, sweet.
She left LA like in March.
Oh.
She was one of the first to do the exodus, you know, and I'm kind of glad she got out of there. I mean, yeah. She was actually back there recently, and she said things are a bit different. But you know, look, I'm hoping things change in a little bit.
Yeah, right here. Vote Spicoli 2020. I can fix it.
Right here, dude.
Oh yeah, I would say that when you first, I think the first jam you put up was the Rush one. Was that the first one?
Yeah.
And that, dude, that was fucking awesome.
That was again like kids in their bedroom jamming together, you know. So that was with Alex Skolnick and Ra from Suicidal, and we had a ball. And then we were like, let's do more, you know. So that's how it all kind of snowballed.
Was it XYZ was the first song? Was that the first
one?
What
was the first one we did? Was it YYZ, I think?
YYZ,
and then,
sorry. YYZ.
And then we did and then we said, Can we do more of these? And then Brandon, who's in the band Crowbot, I kind of knew he could handle the Geddy Lee vocals, that high pitch vocals, and he nailed it. So that was great. We did like Free Will and a couple other ones.
Yeah, they were awesome.
It's been a weird year. Besides the COVID thing, there's been a lot of crazy deaths. You know, in the beginning of the year, we lost Neil Peart, and then the Kobe Bryant thing, and then just recently Eddie Van Halen. So it's taken a toll on, you know, a lot of us, especially the rock music fans. You know.
Yeah.
And still feel it.
I often wonder, it's been, you know, every time you go, you know, you look at the TV or you go online or social media, or you're talking to people, everybody across the board is like, 2020 is a shitty year. It fucking sucks. What a terrible year. All these terrible things happening. And they're right. But then I sit there and try to go, well, if you took COVID out of the equation, like let's say that didn't happen, would it still be, would all that stuff, I mean, obviously the death of Eddie Van Halen, Neil Peart, very impactful, at least to me, but would we focus as much on all these things if they weren't all piled on top of each other? Does that make sense? You know what I mean? Like it's hard because it's all just piled on and it's relentless. I guess, I don't know if that makes any sense. If you took the COVID out of it, would we be so featured on these things?
The thing that I thought about, if you did take the COVID out of the equation, we would still have protests, rioting. We'd still have this crazy hatred for our fellow Americans within the country that has gotten so out of hand. And I often said that maybe if the COVID thing didn't happen and people weren't out of work, maybe the rioting wouldn't have happened, but the protest would have happened. Protesting is something in this country that is important. I think back to the 60s and things, and making a change, you know, for the country and for people. But the rioting and the looting, I wasn't down with that at all. A lot of my friends got hit by it.
You know, and that's another thing. It's the George Floyd incident, all that stuff. You know, Breonna Taylor, that stuff probably still would have happened, COVID or not, and it still would have been bad. And COVID is just the icing on the cake of a shitty year.
It's been a really shitty year when you put all of that in the hat. And let's say you had to pick one thing, you know, it's like, you know, I get a lot of shit online for posting my thoughts or my opinions on things from people who immediately put me as like, just shut up and play your drums. Just shut up, you libtard, you know, stupid things like that. And it's like, dude, I'm the furthest thing from like, you know, look what we do. I'm not a liberal, you know, I'm just someone who lives in the country that just hates seeing what it's become.
Yeah,
totally.
And also too, I'm over the labels, that everything needs to be compartmentalized and labeled, and everybody needs to be labeled. I hate that. What does all that mean? It doesn't mean anything. Why are we're so hyper focused on these tiny little stupid red tape details and labels and names and party names, and what we get lost, we lose the big picture of it all. I don't understand it.
And you know, a lot of times too, when these guys like will kind of comment and kind of throw an attack at me, I will personally write them and say like, what the fuck, dude? You know, think about what you said and think about what I said. And just because I attacked your cult leader doesn't mean that you're a bad person or I'm a bad person. Like, you could have an open conversation about it. And then usually they apologize. It's all this bravado, fuck you. And it's like when you talk one-to-one, it's like, wow, you like the same things I like, and we agree on this and we agree on that. It's like, you see, that's what it's all about, you know, just talking.
Yeah.
Agreed.
It's an interesting time, man. I mean, and, you know, and obviously like me, you know, I'm technically out of work. You know, I mean,
we all are.
Yeah. It's a trippy time, but you know, again, like you were saying, the silver lining, this show was born out of COVID, you know, and it's been something that's given a lot of people, we've had such a tremendous feedback from this, and it's grown so quickly. And all the positive, messages we get from people saying it actually helped them get through like their day, that they look forward to it. It's good. It makes you feel good,
Yeah.
Well, because it's an escape. It's escape from the television or the whatever you're listening to. It's just something that, if you enjoy, let's say movies, cinema, whatever. I saw this great documentary a few nights ago about midnight movies. I don't know if you've ever seen that one. It's great, and it brought me back to being a kid in New York and going to the Waverly to see Rocky Horror at midnight.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, it had Eraserhead, Night of the Living Dead, and as we were watching it, I was saying to Carla, I'm like, I was so young when I saw Night of the Living Dead. It was a double feature. We went to see the movie Willard at a drive-in, and it was a double feature with Night of the Living Dead, and that came on, and I remember when it got to be kind of gory and gruesome, I remember my mom trying to cover my eyes, and I'm just like, let me see, I want to see what's going on. And that was the first time. And it's funny because in that documentary, they said that Night of the Living Dead only showed at drive-in theaters. And I was like, wow, that's pretty ironic that I was at the drive to see it.
Wow.
Were you always, I mean, ever since a kid, were you just hardcore into movies? You're always a cinema movie fan?
Always, 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 always. I grew up with 4 older sisters, and then my cousins who were very close to us, they were 4 boys, actually 3 boys, and I was the youngest out of everybody. So whatever they were watching, I was watching, and like, of course, the first things that I would see would be like Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein or King Kong, things like that, and it was immediately like, what is that, I need to know this. And in New York, we had Chiller Theater, and we had other things. I was hooked right from the start, and my mom got me like a subscription to Famous Monsters. So I would order things from the back, and I would get, 8mm movies of the movies with no sound. I did all that stuff. So like I said, I was hooked.
Yeah. Do you get to talk about movies? I mean, obviously your legacy with music, and you're so entrenched in everything music and your whole career. Do you get a chance to talk about movies and enjoy that kind of stuff often? Or is it people tend to focus probably mostly on music for you?
I mean, I would say like Sean will tell you, like, if we get together, we'll start rattling off, like, do you remember this from that? So I would say it's maybe a 60-40 thing. People always want to know about the music side of it, but I always enjoy talking about movies because it's something that really excites me. I love the inside stuff more so than the movie. I love behind the scenes stuff, like finding out about this and deleted scenes from the Jaws or The Thing or, anything.
Yeah, we were just discussing the new Friday the 13th box set that came out and all that cut footage from part 2. It's so cool to finally see.
Yeah, I mean, I want to see that the deleted scenes maybe put back in The Thing. There's that picture of Kurt Russell with the blow-up doll.
Mm.
Did you ever see that? And I was like, what is that scene?
Yeah. Where did I first see that photo somewhere? Was it in Fangoria or something? It might have been in some magazine now.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, that stuff always intrigues me too.
Yeah.
Do you remember the first time where you were when you saw Jaws?
Oh, absolutely. I was with the same people I mentioned earlier. We went down to the 86th Street Playhouse, I think it was called, and we stood on line and waited, and we got in. And the thing that back then, the thing that always fascinated me about going to the movies was I would always look at the lobby cards as you go into the theater and get a sense of the movie, because that's basically what the lobby cards did. Here's a preview of what you're going to see. And I just ate it all up, and after I saw Jaws for the first time, dude, I was hooked. My oldest sister was there with me, and she was the one that read the book, and she would read little excerpts to me from the movie. So we were so excited that it was going to be made into a movie and couldn't wait to see it. So yeah, that's when we saw it. And I never went in the water again.
I grew up in Pittsburgh, but my mother lived here in LA, in down by the beach, Redondo Beach. So I remember the year that came out, I came out to visit for the summer, and she took me to see Jaws. I was so terrified. I remember it so vividly, Southern California in the 70s, and there was it was burned into my brain. I can go in about what we saw, but the next day she took us to the beach. She took the next day, and I was like, I'm not getting in the water. And I remember my brother got into the water and swam. He kept swimming because he wanted to see how far he could go, and I was crying. I was terrified that my brother was going to get eaten by Jaws. I was so horrified. I think I was 75, right? So yeah, I was
75.
I was 7, 8 years old. You know,
You were traumatized, dude.
I was traumatized, and my brother dislocated his jaw jumping. We were in the movie theater, and he was sitting like this, and then the head comes out. You know, the
Ben Gardner's head.
And he kneed his jaw. Like boom! It was horrifying. I remember Jaws is everything about it. The smell of the popcorn, the theater I saw it in was called the Marina Theater in Torrance, and it was right by the beach. And you'd walk out of Jaws the movie, and you could smell the ocean because it was right there. And it was like,
oh wow.
And
Now I was, because I'm just a little bit younger than you guys, because I'm 50. So I was 5 years old when I saw it, and I remember it was in a walk-in, and it was in Anchorage, Alaska, because I was still living in Alaska at the time, because I was born in Anchorage and I moved to California when I was 6. So the one thing I remember, other than the Ben Gardner's head terrifying me, that was the scene that freaked me out the most. When we moved to this house in Stanton, it had a swimming pool, and whoever had lived there before us painted the swimming pool black.
mm,
So when you look, you couldn't see anything. I was terrified to go in that pool because I thought Jaws was in it.
bull shark.
Yeah, it's all mental.
Yeah. It's all mental.
Yeah.
And you know, it's funny you said the scariest part you thought was in that movie was the Ben Gardner scene, which I thought was terrifying too. But there was 2 scenes that really fucked me up like in the head, which was the first scene with Chrissy.
Oh yeah.
Because it was at night and you couldn't see anything. And my sister, I remember in the book, is a pretty good description of what the shark was doing to her. So I was thinking, you know, oh, he's just tearing a piece here and just, you know, and then the other scene was in the estuary when the guy's like, hey, you kids all right over there?
Yeah.
And then he comes and the shark comes and tips the boat over. And it's the first time you see it, like from like an aerial view, you see the shark going to bite his leg. That terrified me the most. Seeing it for the first time, like, oh shit, look at the size of that thing, you know? So I still get goosebumps thinking about that.
I did too, just when you were talking about it. And when the kid on the raft gets it too, and the red shoots up and yeah.
We'll get to that when we'll talk about all that great stuff.
Well, we're talking about it.
Isn't it funny how even, you know, being in your 50s, it was so terrifying at the time, and unlike any other movie, it's still throughout my entire life terrifies me in ways. Like I had to get certified diving for a movie I was doing, and I was making something that had to be shot in the ocean underwater, so I had to get certified. And I've been terrified of the ocean since Jaws, you know. I mean, I go in it, but I'm not a fan. I go to the beach, but I won't go in the water. So I had to get certified. And part of getting certified is you have to do 4 open water dives in the ocean. And I went, and my first open water, they take you out into the ocean to this buoy that looks just like the one at the beginning of Jaws. And you get in the water, and you have to submerge down in the buoy. And you go underwater. There's a chain, a big heavy-duty chain that goes down, 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 and you can't see where it ends. Like it just goes into blackness. So you have to descend down this chain, and you're looking down constantly into blackness of this chain that just disappears. And you have to go down and then swim out 20 feet or something and then come back up. And there's nothing. You don't see the bottom. You don't see the beach. You don't see nothing. It's just, and you're going down this chain, and all I could think about is the Jaws mouth, like the scene where it comes up and bites his leg, just coming out of the darkness and opening up and eating me. And it was horrifying. And to this day.
It's funny you had that story, because I was in Hawaii once and I wanted to go. You know, I got the courage up and I said, fuck it, I'm going to go. And did the test. And then you do the test in like a pool, a deep pool. And then you got to go into the ocean. So I did it. And as I'm going down for the first time, I totally felt like the temperature drop of the water, and it just hits you. And I'm like, holy shit, that's fucking cold, you know? As I started to get further and further down, I started to panic. And I forgot how to breathe, basically, because I was looking around and I could only see a certain amount of like a distance before it got murky, and my fucking brain started to go crazy. And I'm like, and I shot right back up. And I remember the instructor just kind of followed me up. He's like, what's wrong? And I'm just like, I just freaked out, you know? And I got a totally different sense and a respect of the ocean that day, you know?
Yeah.
I went back down and I got calm, but I kept thinking that I'm going to, you know, see something in that murky depth, you know?
Yeah. Wouldn't it be funny if the instructor guy goes, what's wrong? And you just go, Jaws.
Yeah. Shark attack.
Jaws. What's wrong?
I remember one of the most terrifying moments in my life. I've always been frightened of the ocean because of Jaws. And I surfed through mid 80s to like the mid 90s. I surfed almost every day. I was really big into surfing. But I would go out there and I'd be sitting on my board waiting for a wave, and I'd just be looking around me, you know, just, you know, you feel something touch your leg and you're just, you know. And one time I used to go night surfing a lot, which is to me now insane. I don't know what the fuck I was thinking.
Yeah, dude, that's fucking insane.
Yeah, but I would do it down at the San Clemente Pier, and they had lights on the pier, so it lit up the area a little bit. But, you know, the water looks black, especially in Southern California where the water's not clear to begin with. And I'm sitting on my board, just sitting on it, and I feel something brush against my leg, like big. And I look over and there's a fin. And I tell you, man, I almost shit myself. It was a dolphin, but I didn't know.
Right.
When I saw it was a dolphin, I mean, my heart is like pounding out of my chest, but I got the fuck out of the water. I was like, it freaked me out so hard. I was like, damn.
See, that's the thing with me. I don't know if I die of a heart attack just seeing the thing and then being bitten. You know, I think the first thing would kill me first. So, dude, that would have freaked me out completely.
Well, the thing that's the worst is when you're in the water, and especially when you can't touch bottom, you're so fucking helpless.
Yeah,
absolutely.
You know? It's the most terrifying feeling.
Yeah. That's the thing about it. It's you don't. The ocean is so powerful, and everything that lives. You're in their world, man. You're in their world, and they will fuck you. That happened to me. I was diving, and it was off California through these kelp beds, and I'm going through with the group, and I felt a nudge on my fin, and I looked down, thinking that I was about to get bit, and it was a seal. And it was nudging my fin like this, and it was swimming up beside me and looking at me, and it's just staring at me. Then it'd swim away, and then come back around again and nudge my fin and swim up to me and look at me, and then swim away again, and it was just playing with me. And you're going, what was that? Was a shark? And I'm like, there's seals here. That means there's sharks here, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm just like, oh, geez. But it conquers the diving. It'll conquer your fear of Jaws, but you know, it'll always be there. You know, it's still.
Yeah, you ain't getting me out in the ocean like that. There's no way. No
fucking
way.
We're gonna go diving. Come on, all three of us.
Dude, Sandy Calora invites me diving all the time. He does it almost every day. Hell no, I'm not doing that. Not happening.
I do want to go in a cage, though. I do want to do that.
I wouldn't
So
even do that.
I
Like-
do want to do it.
Like, I mean, like go in a cage where the sharks are and just watch
Yeah,
them.
yeah.
Yeah.
That I want to do.
Closest
Because
I'm
then
getting to that's a fucking aquarium behind glass. That's closest I'm getting.
A friend of mine did that. A friend of mine went down to South Africa, you know, the tip of South Africa where all the great whites are, and they
Yeah.
jump out of the water. You know, they drag. Have you seen this stuff? She went and did it, filmed it on her video camera. They're the boats that speed and they drag a piece of carpet cut in the shape of a seal. And the sharks, as the carpet's being dragged, the sharks jump up and try to eat it, and they literally come completely out of the water. These great whites, and their mouths are literally jaw size. I'm not kidding you. You should look it up on YouTube. It'll blow your mind. Anyway, jumps out and grabs it. But she got in a cage. You can do that down there. You can get in a cage and just watch these giant great white sharks swim around you.
A friend of ours does it, and that's when I was going to go. He does like this charter and invites a few people to do it. But I remember there was a whole controversy during the Jaws thing about sharks don't leap out. So the shark would have never jumped on the boat and tipped it, and, you know. And then it came out. Yes, they do. They come out and they'll grab a fucking seal, and you know, that's, to them, that's like McDonald's. That's what they look for. It's like, oh, Big Mac is a fucking seal. So they'll see it from, you know, the depths and come out with such force, man. And that's how the Kittner kid was killed too.
Yeah.
All right, so let's get into the actual ranking. You know, so we can all talk. Something tells me we go from number one to worst.
Yeah.
Because obviously, you know, for obvious reasons, everybody knows usually what the best one is. But
this is like the easiest ranking ever. This.
I don't know because I talked to Darren yesterday, and I told him we were doing this, and he told me what he thought the worst film in the franchise was, and it was different than mine. So
really,
yeah,
I thought this was a no-brainer softball here. I'm like, you know, but I mean, are you a fan of all the Jaws movies, Charlie, or
No,
okay.
no.
Okay, that's what I wanted to know. We were talking about it earlier. I was like, I wonder if he even likes all of them. So.
It's like if you would have asked me this question, you know, when I was younger, I would have given you a different answer.
Are we all in agreement that the first film is number one?
Well, yeah.
Okay, so we're all in agreement. Jaws, the first Jaws, is number one. Okay, let's move, and we've discussed Jaws 1 quite a bit. Let's move into number 2. What is, Charlie, we'll let you go. What is your number 2? I think we know the answer.
2 is number 2.
Chris?
Yeah, 2 is 2.
Yeah, I mean, that's the easy part for me. I was like, 1 and 2, no brainers. One thing about 2, you know, I went to a revival screening a couple of years ago, seeing it with the crowd, and I actually felt, and I never felt this growing up, but sitting in the theater watching it, I thought it really drags in spots. Like it's kind of too long, part 2. I mean, but still it's great because it's got Scheider. I do like the whole thing with the kids, you know, stuck on the little island thing, and, you know, with all the rafts in it, you know, it's got some good shit in it. The ending's pretty hokey, but I mean, but compared to the other ones, it's not. But I love the first 2 films. I mean, 1 is the perfect movie. 2 is a fun follow-up.
The thing I loved about it is, like I said, the characters came back, or a lot of them came back. They introduced some new characters that I really didn't care for, but for me to see the mayor and you know, Brody interacting again, and it's like, do we know the timeline of that? Like, do we know how far it is after the first?
I don't know if they actually ever say.
It has to be later because the kids are older.
Yeah.
So we're talking maybe 4 years later, 5 years later.
Yeah, was it?
Yeah, at least 5 years, at least. Yeah.
at least 5 years, because the kid Michael in the first movie, he's probably what,
The
11,
little kid.
10, 11?
Yeah. And Sean was probably like 5 or something.
Yeah.
You know.
So let's say it's about maybe 5 to 7 years later. Amity still looks the same. Things have balanced out. Things are back to the way it once was, and then another shark comes in to wreak havoc. Story is great, of course, because it can never happen again. And I remember the ad for it always got me excited. And my mom, we always had like a subscription to TV Guide, and you would get it earlier before it was on the stands. And I remember the issue, you opened it up and it folded out to the Jaws 2 ad. And it was that orangey, remember, with the fins coming out of the water. And it was like, yes, this is good. And it had that tag just when you thought it was safe to go back in the water, fucking brilliant. Couldn't wait for it. And I remember going to see it, and I was into it. I thought it was cool. I liked the whole aspect of the story with the kids and everything. And then even back then, I was such I would pick out things that I hated. 2 things that I hated about that movie is I hated the way the shark looked. And I hated that they burnt the shark up in the beginning, because it looked like a big piece of shit after that, just burnt up. And it was all gray. It didn't even look like a great white. And then there was this one scene with the kids when they're trying to pull one of the kids up, and the shark is coming from a distance. As it comes and it opens its mouth and it scrapes the side of the boat, and the shark's mouth kind of creases in, and I was like, oh, it's like a fucking Muppet. That was it for me. Can we leave?
You really want to walk out?
Yeah, I just didn't like it.
Yeah.
I just didn't
I
care
think it's a time thing for me. It was 78, right? That came out in 78, and it was, Kiss was at their height, and I remember, I was a Kiss fan, and that's when merchandising for 70s cool stuff was really ramping up, I think. And so I equated that. And then movie-wise, it looked the same-ish in tone, and I didn't mind that. It was the beginning that I really liked. It was seeing the Orca, at the bottom of the ocean with the photographer, the divers, and they look and you see it says Orca there, and I was like, yes, it's just callbacks to the first one. And I really liked that opening sequence a lot. It really got me into it. But then, yeah, it drags, and then it bites a electrical wire at the end, right? Is that how it? And he's banging on it.
Yeah.
What ocean do they have giant electrical cables running through? Yeah, man.
In that. All right, so number 2. It was 2.
And then the other, I think the big missed opportunity is not bringing back Hooper, because that's such a great character, and the way they played off each other.
There's mention of him in the beginning about he's away somewhere, some expedition or something. So that's it. Hooper's gone.
Yeah.
They probably couldn't afford him.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's aspects of the movie that I like, but then there's some that I just don't really care for. John Williams, of course, returns with the score, so that's great.
One of the things that made the original Jaws so great, and it's those happy accidents, the shark not working, them having to use the barrels instead, was so much. It created the theater of the mind, and you weren't seeing the shark as much, and that kind of thing made it scarier. And as they got into Jaws 2, it's like, we need to see the shark more. Let's see more shark. The executives got to show the shark.
I think you're right about all that stuff, but the one big thing that was missing was Spielberg.
Yeah.
Steven is just like the king of that stuff, and he probably would have saw a lot of things in that movie that I don't want to do it. But again, it's Jaws 2, and that's it. That's how I have to view it. It's Jaws 2.
Yeah.
and the guy who directed that, was his name Janet something? What is it?
I want to know if it was the same editor, because what makes the original Jaws so amazing is the editing. It's cut.
Verna Fields. That's who did the first one.
Genot Schwark.
Yeah.
I mean, who the fuck is this guy? And he's doing Jaws too. I mean,
Nice.
no, I'm just saying, like, you know, one of the biggest, greatest films of all time, and you get some guy who, I mean, what had he done up to that? He had done Bug. Fucking Bug. I mean, and then he followed it up. Well, he did Somewhere in Time, was actually a pretty good movie, but then he did Supergirl and Santa Claus the movie. I mean, all right.
All amazing films, by
amazingly bad.
That is top quality cinema right there.
Oh, that Oh, okay. Now I know who it is.
Yeah. But I mean, but you know, but then how do you make Jaws 2 better? You make Jaws 3 and Jaws 4. That's how you make Jaws 2 better.
Well, that's where it starts getting interesting for the choice.
So
What's number 3?
So we're all in agreement. Number 2 is number 2.
Yeah.
Yes.
But this is where it's going to get fun. Okay. Since you're our guest, Charlie, we're going to let you go first. Give us your number 3. Which one's better, Jaws 3D or Jaws the Revenge?
Jaws the Revenge is better than 3D.
Chris?
I'm going Jaws 3D.
Okay. And for the record, Darren picked Jaws 3D. I'm in agreement with Charlie, Jaws the Revenge, because I watched both back to back 2 nights ago getting ready for this, because I hadn't seen either of them in a long time. And you know, Jaws 3D is probably the better story, like the better idea of like having it in the water park and everything. It just looks fucking terrible. I mean, first off, it looks terrible. The green screen effects in that movie are laughable, like when they're in the underwater tube. I mean, it's so bad. And Louis Gossett Jr.'s character is just like the biggest, I don't get, just do it on everything that goes wrong, you know, like, you know, it's just like, but there's kids swimming in there. You think it's good to throw chum in there? Just do it. You know, I mean,
Is that guy Simon McCorkindale? Isn't he in that movie?
Which guy was he?
He plays like the.
He was the Jacques Cousteau kind of dude who come with wasn't he British or Australian or Australian? Yeah. So he kind of looks like the Harvey Dent guy from the last Batman movie. He looks like that guy.
Exactly. So he's kind of like a cross between Hooper and Quint, you know, and the way that he dies, and then he's still in the shark's mouth, and he pulls. It's just like, oh no, come on. And then the worst scene is when the shark crashes through the glass, and it just looks like it's not even moving. It's just like floating. Well, and then
because it's going. Yeah. It's got this weird and it just keeps going. Like it's not moving. It's not swimming. It's just going. It's like somebody took this bottle and just went. You know.
Exactly.
If that glass had broke, that room would have filled up so fast with so much pressure. All those people would be dead. Nobody'd survive it. And then just the bad 3D effects of like a foot or something coming and then swirling there for like a minute, you know, like the fish head.
Yeah, the fish head or that. Yeah.
I mean, it's so bad. And it sucks because there's a good cast. Louis Gossett's a good actor. Dennis Quaid's a good actress. Leah Thompson. It's just, it's just so incredibly bad.
I to be honest with you, I think that's why I like it. The reason why I like it is it's so ridiculous and over the top, and I think it was and I was just going, "What? You can't do Jaws again. They just couldn't do it." And I think Jaws 3 was the one that they had John Hughes write. They were going to do a spoof. It wasn't ever going to be. It wasn't supposed to be serious. There was a time where they hired John Hughes, did a pass at it, and a couple National Lampoon writers, and they were going to spoof Jaws, and it was going to be a straight up comedy, I'm pretty sure. And then they got into it, and then Universal decided they didn't want to do that because they felt that it was shitting where they eat, you know, and then the 2 executives that greenlit it left Universal, and that kind of went away, but some of it got left over. That's why you're watching that movie going, is this a comedy? Is it supposed to be goofy? What's going on?
It wasn't it. It was supposed to be called Jaws 3 People 0, something like that.
Yeah. So it was that's why. But again, that's why I kind of like it. It's kind of, I'm like, all right, because I could buy that tone than a great white shark following a family all the way down to the Bahamas.
We'll get to that in a second.
Because I mean, but that time it was personal. So
yeah. So, can you remember? Do you guys recall? I remember what theater I saw it in. I was the Valley View Twin Cinema, and saw it in 3D. And I remember it being the worst 3D I'd ever seen. I don't know if it was just, maybe it was a bad projectionist, but compared to like Amityville 3D and Friday 13th Part 3D, the 3D looked like shit. And by the way, they completely stole the spear gun gag from Friday 3 because it came out like a year later. It was, I just remember walking out of the theater, what year was that? Friday the 13th Part 3 was 82. This was 83. So I was like 12 years old. And I remember leaving the theater, a 12-year-old kid seeing a Jaws 3D movie, you think you'd be on cloud nine. I remember just being like, that was garbage,
Yeah.
My pick for number 3 was Jaws the Revenge. And it's mainly, it's personal. Okay. First off, it starts in Amity Island, which is great. I mean, so you're getting a little bit of the vibe, and you have like Miss Kittner's back, there's all these little characters, and you got, Elaine Brody, and I loved Lance Guest as Michael. I thought he was great. I mean, he's a good actor. I thought he, with what he was working with, he did a great job. But the whole thing with, first off, if you had lived through this shit twice, okay, well, technically 3 times, because Michael was supposed to have worked at SeaWorld, if we're sticking to that same family. Why the fuck is anybody in your family still in any type of business that has anything to do with the ocean?
Yeah.
There's no way. You'd never go in the water again.
Right. Take the hint.
Yeah. Can we call Jaws the Revenge a Christmas movie? I mean, it is a Christmas movie, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So so this Christmas, pop it on, gather around the fireplace and put on Jaws the Revenge. But then it moves to the Bahamas. That's where it starts to go south. As much as I love Lorraine Gary, she's so annoying in this movie. Just constantly, like, she reminds me of like Winona Ryder in the first season of Stranger Things. We're just like, okay, tone it down, It's like a little too neurotic and over the top and freaking out, or it's following us. But and it followed them, really?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Talk about the shark dying at the end, how that worked.
Oh, well, we got to get
we'll get
the various endings.
That's right. And then one, what's his name? The actor.
Mario Van Peebles.
Yeah, doesn't he die in one and then lives in another?
Yeah.
Well, he died originally, and then they went back and reshot it where he survives.
Right.
And in the original ending, the broken front of the boat spears the shark, and it, and blood shoots everywhere, and it just dies and floats to the bottom.
Right.
But then it looked so bad, and if you watch that footage, it looks so bad that they took footage from the original film where he explodes, and they reused that footage of it exploding. The boat hits it and the fucking shark explodes. I mean,
I never understood that.
Because it makes no sense. Yeah, then suddenly after you saw him in the mouth of the shark being taken underwater, somehow he survives. In those incredibly obvious reshoots that are in the tank at Universal, you can see the fake painting of the skyline behind them and actually see the water rippling up against the back of it.
Yeah.
It's all so terrible.
I know.
But
Why?
But because it had the taste of Amity Island, it had original return, or at least one returning character, and was she? And some of the, like Miss Kittner and a few here and there, and the film looks great. It's shot well. I give it the pass. Plus, the underwater sequence when it chases Lance Guest through the shipwreck is actually a good scene.
That's the one I like. That's what I was going to mention. And the shark, actually, the mechanical shark that they made looked way better than the previous two movies. It looked good. It functioned better. And that scene when he's chasing him, that was kind of terrifying.
Yeah, no, it. I don't know if you've seen it. Look it up maybe after we get off if you haven't seen it before. But somebody took that scene and reshot or redid the effects and added in a digital shark, CGI shark that looks way better.
Really?
Oh, it's pretty cool. Like a fan did it. It's on YouTube.
Okay.
And it's worth checking out when you see, like, because instead of just the static shark floating through the boat, it's like actually swimming at it's pretty cool.
I mean, the other scene that I liked was the beginning, the death scene in the beginning with the brother
Sean. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I thought that was really good too. But then it just sinks after that.
It had a vibe of the opening scene of the original Jaws, getting tugged on a little bit, and yeah. But
to go back to Jaws 2, on which something I felt as well, that was like 78, and I was already like on that Star Wars thing, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So that to me was another pun, light years ahead of the special effects in Jaws. I mean, what they were doing. So I didn't understand how the next Jaws movie could be worse when it came to like the special effects.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, just go to, Industrial Light and Magic, I'm sure they could do a really good shark,
That was a time where things were kind of being invented, and, there was new technologies, and it wasn't perfected yet, but
well, shooting something in water,
that's the big challenge.
Is to do at that time. Yeah, you had Star Wars was leaps ahead of everything. You had ILM, but to deal with water, it would, at that time, no one knew even how to deal with that water. I mean, it was, you could do stuff out in space because you're creating that entire environment. You're creating space. You're creating these spaceships. You have control over that. Yeah, at that time, technology, you couldn't control anything that trying to shoot in water and stuff unless you're shooting in a tank with cloud, smoke, and they would do that kind of stuff.
But that's what I'm saying is like the shots that Spielberg did in the first movie that was shot in the, in the pool or wherever it was, where the shark is attacking the cage. Those to me looked so much better than anything in those other movies. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was terrifying.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. How could you take it and just go downhill instead of like, oh, we learned from this, let's make it, that much better. And they didn't.
Yeah. They also lowered the budget too. I think the budget was lower. And probably
how does the studio work that way? If this was a hit, well, let's put a little bit more of the
happens all the time. I can't tell you how many movies I worked on where I worked on a giant movie and it made a shit ton of money, and we do the sequel and you have less money to do it. It's just blind greed. It all goes to executives, you know what I mean?
The story that Francis Ford Coppola tells about, it was hard to make Godfather 2, and he had to mortgage his house in order to make it. I'm like, how is this,
Yeah.
Back to Jaws: The Revenge. Another thing I always found quite perplexing was, how is it possible that Elaine Brody is having flashbacks of things she never saw?
Right.
Like the smile, you son of a bitch. How was she thinking of that when she wasn't there? You know,
She saw the movie.
saw the movie. She was also having flashbacks of Sean getting killed in the beginning of the movie. Remember?
Yeah.
She wasn't there. So
Wasn't there.
how is she remembering it? You know, I don't. There's a lot of bad shit in there.
There's a lot of bad shit in all three of those Jaws movies. That's why the first one's the only one that matters. I don't know why.
And what the hell is going on with Mario Van Peebles' accent? At one point, he like drops it like it's he was just doing it. Remember, they're having the conversation on the boat.
Yes.
But yet, through the rest of the movie, even when it's just him and Lance, he's still putting on the "Hey man" voice. Even when he's, I'm dying, man. You know, it's like, would you be doing that if you're dying? You know, it's like,
I don't know. And we're not going to mention anything about the other actor in the movie.
Michael Caine.
Michael Caine.
I mean,
I love Michael Caine. I love Michael
Caine too. And this was a definite money grab. You know.
Oh, he's even talked about that publicly, that he bought a house with that money.
Yeah, and he definitely could fly a plane in water and land it. And I like Michael Caine.
Yeah.
But yeah, my favorite Michael Caine role was in this movie that Brian De Palma did, where he plays what is it called? Dressed to Kill.
Dressed to Kill, yeah.
But anyway, back to
Well, in keeping with the Michael Caine Jaws theme, I'm a massive fan of the Peter Benchley film The Island. I love The Island. I mean, I think that's a super underrated movie that's just so batshit crazy that there's an island full of old school pirates and they're, you know, hijacking boats and killing people and taking all their shit and taking their kids and raising them to be pirates. And if you guys haven't seen it, skip
I know
the
movie.
Have you seen it, Chris? Do you know the movie?
Yeah, I saw it back in the day. I saw it. I haven't revisited that movie in a while.
Well, spoiler alert, if anybody that wants to see it, I'm about to ruin the ending. But that last scene where he fucking Gatling guns the entire fucking ship full of pirates is genius. I love it. Love it. That's so great.
Was that in the book too?
I never read the book.
I always wondered about it.
I think
because there's elements of Jaws 1 that are not in the movie, of course, which the whole mafia thing, the whole Brody's wife and Hooper hooking up, but you could totally feel that Mayor Vaughn and his people could totally be connected to the mob.
Yeah.
It just had that feel, you know? And then, you know the scene when Quint goes into the music store to get the piano wire and the kid's practicing the clarinet? I still feel that should have been in the movie. It's such an important scene for his character, you know? And I don't know why Spielberg didn't put that in there. Anybody know?
I don't.
I'm going to guess it was a note by the studio, because at that time when he was making that, he didn't have the control, obviously, that he gained after the movie came out. After that, he could do whatever he wanted. I'm guessing that sounds like a studio note. That sounds like Spielberg wanting it probably to be in there, but the studio went, this isn't working. You're putting too much thought and heart into a movie that's not really about that. I'm guessing. I mean, it ended up being that way. It's a bad studio note, sounds like to me.
I have another question. Maybe you guys know. There's a scene when they first go out to sea, and Hooper, Quinn is sitting in the chair with the, you know, he's fishing. Brody's doing the chum. Okay, so where does that chair go?
Right.
Like, where does it go after that?
Yeah.
You never see it again. Do they just go, I don't need this, and they just throw it over? What do they store?
That's a good thought. I never thought of that.
I never thought of it either.
Wow.
You know,
these things we need to.
Are you guys familiar with the story of what happened to the little girl from Jaws: The Revenge after filming?
No.
Wait a minute. I always get this one confused with the Poltergeist girl.
Okay. Well, her name was Judith Barcy, And when I was watching the movie the other night, I was like, I wonder what this girl looks like now. I wonder what if she's done anything else. And I IMDb'd her, and it was her last movie. And then I looked her up. Less than a year after Jaws: The Revenge came out, her father shot the little girl and her mother in a murder suicide. She was shot. She was killed by gunpoint. Like crazy.
Thanks for bumming me out.
Yeah.
But I always and the girl from Poltergeist, two girls
Yeah.
from Poltergeist.
Yeah.
Griffith Dunn's sister, Dominique Dunn, who was strangled to death by her boyfriend.
Right. And then the little girl, she had some sort of bacteria infection that killed her.
She had turned to pneumonia, and she died during the filming of the end of Poltergeist 3. Yeah, Heather O'Rourke.
Heather O'Rourke. That was it.
Carol Ann.
So, and then the other thing that, have you heard this theory about Quint killed Ben Gardner?
No.
Dreyfus's son said this is what he had heard, that Ben Gardner was killed by Quint because he was a threat to him. I don't know, but then where does the tooth come from, and then where's that big chunk of boat?
Right.
How does that happen?
Right. That's
How savvy Quint is, though, with setting up a crime scene.
Oh, how does his eye pop out if the shark got him?
squeezing them. Squeezing.
All right.
That's interesting theory.
That's a stretch to me. That sounds like there's a lot of conspiracies about Jaws, isn't there? There's a lot of weird stuff about it.
Here's the other thing. Okay, so let's talk about the lineage of the shark. Now, which are they all supposed to be related? So like the shark in Jaws 2 was supposed to be the baby of the mother from Jaws 1, right?
Or I thought it was the reverse.
Oh, was it the reverse? That was the mother. That was the baby that in Jaws 1, and the mother came after in Jaws 2.
I could be wrong, but I thought that's what it was. You know,
Is this in the book? How did people come up with this?
whatever, somewhere. But
But obviously, if if these sharks keep coming after the family, they've got to be somehow related, right? So, like the Jaws, the shark chasing them to the Bahamas. Which shark is that? Is that the dad? Who is it?
that's the crazy Uncle Shark.
Yeah, little brother was the one at the fucking
What are we-
park. I don't
What are you talking about?
know. This is important stuff.
Yeah,
Jesus.
And are we gonna tap into Jaws 5, Cruel Jaws? Anyway, just kidding.
I always see something pop up on the internet about a remake of Jaws. And
Yeah.
blah, blah, blah. Whatever.
I just saw something recently about how they're trying to make that happen again.
Well,
you know,
don't
every-
remake it. Don't.
don't-
remake
Would you go see it? Would you see it? If they did it and they remade it, would you go see it?
Of course. Either way, I'd go see it. Remake or sequel, I'd go see it because that's the kind of fool I am. But
Charlie, would
just
you
make
go
another
see
Jaws movie. Just don't try to remake it.
it? Right, you go see it. That's why they do it. Because of that question right there, they go, people are like, don't do that. Just don't remake it. Well, would you go see it? Well, yeah. Because they
well, do you remember back after Jaws, they did Orca? You remember that movie?
Yeah, sure, yeah.
And I remember seeing that a few times, actually, because it reminded me of Jaws. So
Right.
go multiple times to see Orca. And then what was the first one that came out with Samuel Jackson's in it? That was
Deep Blue Sea.
Deep Blue Sea.
which I kind of liked that movie. And then there was the other one, 37,000 meters down or whatever.
47 meters down.
And then what was the
wasn't bad. Wasn't bad actually. 47 meters down.
first one, right?
Yeah, the first one.
First one. And then what's the one with the couple, which is like a documentary?
Open water.
Open water.
First
right.
open water was good.
But they hyped it up like it's better than, and I saw it. I'm like, come on.
Did you see Meg?
So Meg.
The Meg is fucking. That's some Jaws 3D shit. But The Shallows was decent. I mean, if I had to pick an other than Jaws, a good shark movie, I really liked Open Water. I liked 47 Meters Down. Even Open Water 2 wasn't bad, you know, but how many times can you use that same gimmick? I can't get on the boat, you know.
Yeah. We're missing Lake Placid.
Yeah.
But that's not a shark, though. That's
we're missing, these are like Spawn.
Okay. All right.
Right. You wouldn't have these movies without Jaws. Certain movies you wouldn't.
Even though it's a completely ridiculous premise, that movie Crawl was pretty good. Did you see that?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
Piranha.
Piranha. The original Piranha, yeah.
If you were a Jaws fan, you were immediately attracted to anything that Jaws related, so you went to see it just for the fucking.
A lot of aquatic stuff. The Humanoids from the Deep.
Yeah.
Great movie.
Great movie. Love
Humanoids
that.
from the Deep really fucked me up, man. I saw that.
Movie. It's a fucked up movie.
It
fucked
is.
Me up.
I saw it on the most bizarre double feature. I saw it at a drive-in with Hangar 18. I don't know why they put those two movies together. But my friend's mom took us to see Hangar 18. I'm like, oh, you know, let's stay and see Humanoids from the Deep. Well, you should have seen her reaction when that movie came on. But we stayed. I watched the whole thing.
Is that like a Roger Corman movie?
Yeah.
It's one of his better ones. Yeah. But then there's always Piranha 2, The Spawning. James Cameron. Yeah.
But before Jaws was out, there was this other movie called Blue Water, White Death.
Oh yeah, I have that.
And I remember that movie was good. Didn't Ron and Valerie Taylor shoot some stuff for that too?
I think so.
By the way they intercut that stuff that they did was awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I'm looking at all your stuff. What would you say, not to change the subject, what is your most prized Jaws possession that you have?
A barrel.
The barrel?
I got it from the Murphys. So, he was a wrangler who did all the props and stuff on the movie. And a friend of mine, Matt Taylor, I helped him with this Metallica book that he wanted to do. And I put him in touch with the Metallica guys. And he's like, I don't know how to repay you, but I know you're a big Jaws guy. I'm gonna hook you up with the Murphys, and that was it. Got a barrel.
Wow. That's awesome. What about? Did you ever see The Last Shark with Vic Morrow? That was the movie that came out after Jaws that Universal got pulled from theaters because it was too much of a Jaws ripoff.
I don't remember that. Did he play like Quint type of?
Yeah.
I remember this, but I have no recollection of seeing it.
It's never been released officially. There's just bootlegs. I have a bootleg. You can probably see a bootleg on YouTube. It's not good, but
it's not.
No, I mean, it's worth seeing if you're a Jaws fan. I mean, because it has that connection to Jaws because Universal fought so hard to have it pulled. Vic Morrow's great. I love Vic Morrow and everything. Humanoids from the Deep, you know, Twilight Zone, the movie. I mean, he's a great actor. He always plays a great heavy.
You know, it's funny because we're talking everything related to Jaws, and I remember the first time I couldn't wait to go to Universal to go on the ride.
Yeah.
The Jaws ride. And to hear that story that Spielberg tells about how he would go down sometimes and have lunch on one of the Orcas.
Yeah.
And then they tore it up.
They chopped it up for firewood.
Yeah. Killed me. Everything Jaws related, like the Saturday Night Live sketch, anything, I was always like, what's that? You know? And do you remember when, like in the newspaper, that it would have the ads for Jaws and how it would leap to, it was beating the sting, and then you'd have the shark eating the sting, you know, all that.
Yeah.
It became such a great metaphor for anything. And of course, there's so many classic lines that get used now, you know, throughout the years that describe any situation you're in. You know, of course, we're going to need a bigger boat, you know, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So many famous lines came out of this movie.
A what?
I don't know. Did we rank? Are we done ranking?
I think we've ranked.
We ranked.
Yeah.
We're good.
Let's get into, like, you know, since we're kind of done with the Jaws ranking, anything that you want to talk about or promote, Charlie, you got coming out? Anything interesting? What's going on with, are you guys recording new music right now or anything? What's
Actually, since this, we've taken a little bit of a departure from working on our new record, which we have to get back into doing. But being home, and I think I was doing some things, and Scott was doing some things. So I think we are going to really kind of reconvene in the next month and kind of start working on that again. I'm actually doing an art show here next month, which I've never done this before, and it's kind of stressing me out. And I just been working on art. So that's all I've been doing.
Is Carla doing any art for it as
Yeah,
well?
I was doing it too. It's both of us are doing this art show. It's going to be here in Chicago, and I don't know. It's like I don't know what to expect. It's on November 14th, and it's downtown Chicago at the Zuby Art Gallery, and that is 1029 West 35th Street, downtown Chicago. I've just been working on all things art, so that's what I've been concentrating on.
So is all of the art going to be available for sale at the show?
Yeah, and then we're going to do prints of certain pieces that you could get online too.
Nice, that's awesome.
But I've never done it before. And it's like, I won't be surrounded by drums, so I'm kind of out in the open.
Well, you could, though. You could just surround yourself with drums in the art and to stand there and kind of reach over them to sign things for people.
Yeah.
Well, actually, it's still during the COVID thing, so I may do that.
Yeah. Not a bad idea. And how are you guys going to deal with that as far as the whole social distancing thing there at the gallery? Is there going to be a limited amount of people that can come in? And
yeah, and we have this Anthrax hand sanitizer that's going to be all over the place,
spreading the disease.
Spreading this, but yeah, they're people are going to get their. You have to get your temperature checked, and you have to wear a mask. I'm hoping it's going to go well, and everything's going to be great.
I can, like, if I wanted to go look at it online, I can go to the site, right? Like
Yeah.
They said, yeah. Okay. Cool.
Are you enjoying doing this?
Yeah, it's fun. It all is horror based, but we're talking music all the time. We're talking toys, collectibles. We're talking anything. We have a whole get off my lawn section where we just rant about the things that piss us off, and feel free to throw one in. Today, mine was no free digital downloads when you buy a record. That pisses me off. So just bought the new Manson album, no digital download. You want me to pay $30 for a fucking record, no digital download?
That's a little bit of a pet peeve of mine too. And we just put out this anniversary edition of Persistence of Time. That's part of our catalog that we don't own. That is Universal own that. So I've been putting out, working on these reissues and stuff because since day one, I've always been the guy that always puts stuff away for a later date. And so I did the Among, the Spreading, the State Euphoria, and then now, of course, the Persistence one. And Universal wouldn't give us digital rights to it. So they only gave us the vinyl. So we couldn't even put it up on the streaming sites because that's digital. They wouldn't give us the digital download. I'm like, well, if people are buying the vinyl, you got to give them the download. Wouldn't do it. Finally, they gave us the rights to put it on iTunes. But they didn't even put it as the 30th anniversary. It's just Persistence of Time. It's like, how are people going to know? So this is such a fight. Other bands I know have to be dealing with this as well.
Yeah.
And so when you said that, it's like, oh, dude, I can't deal with this.
Yeah. Well, I never really took into consideration that aspect of it, of an older record, but a newer record like Manson's new record. Come on, dude.
Yeah. Why?
Yeah, why not? I mean, and the other thing I was talking to Chris about is the fact that back in the day, you bought a record, it was like $8.99. And then when vinyl had a resurgence, it was like, well, there's only like one factory still left, so it's going to be $30. And now that it's the most produced product of music out there, and there's all these new factories, the prices are still crazy high. Yeah, I mean, so, and I get it, as a musician, you guys need to make money, And with all the fucking streaming and stealing of music, it helps that those prices are high. I get it. But a record shouldn't be $30 for one slab of vinyl.
And
No digital download.
my whole thing with the streaming thing is we don't get paid properly for all that. And the thing that hurts me the most is like people could stream it, but you could also download it and you could have it anytime you want. You're only paying $12 a month for all this.
Mm-hmm.
It's just wrong, you know?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If somebody's paying $12 a month to have endless music, you wouldn't even make a penny. You'd be lucky to make a penny.
We make a quarter of a penny.
Yeah. So
when someone gets the hard copy, and that's what I'm about too, I still support bands. I'll go buy it because it's important. And I like the opening the vinyl and the smell and everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's important to me. But people don't want to do that because people just live on their phone.
Yeah.
You know, that's where everything is.
Yeah.
All the music and stuff is here. It's not here anymore, you know?
Yeah.
And I hate it.
And the same things happening with movies now too. Physical media is going away. There's so many movies that aren't even coming out on physical media anymore. They're just going direct to streaming, and they never have a release. Less people are buying physical media. I mean, kids today, you buy a DVD or a record, they'd be like, "What?" They look at you like you're speaking Chinese, you know?
I know that, and it's a very strange conversation to have. Like, why would I buy that? And movie houses are empty because no one's going to the movies now, especially.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really bizarre time. I went to the movies the other night, first time since the COVID thing, because all the Regal cinemas announced that they were all closing. At Thursday night was their last night of operation, so I wanted to go to my favorite theater one last time in case it was done for good. I went, saw that new Russell Crowe movie, Unhinged. I wanted to go to the very last screening, which was only 6:45 at night. Like, they didn't do anything later than that.
Wow.
I was the only person in the theater. I had the whole theater to myself. I couldn't believe it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Was it good?
Try to imagine John Goodman's character of Walter from Big Lebowski having road rage. That's exactly what it was.
That sounds awesome. Actually, kind of.
It's interesting. But
Well,
he literally looks, sounds like that character. I mean,
I just read AMC has a promotion now. You can rent an entire theater out for $99.
It's funny you said that. A friend of mine, he's going to rent out downtown Chicago and put Empire Strikes Back.
Mm-hmm. That's one of the movies you can pick. There's a list of movies.
Yeah.
They have a list, and for $99, I think it's up to 20 people you can have in the theater, and you can rent the whole thing out for $100.
It's kind of
that is cool. But you know what I don't understand is if they're just showing digital projection anyway, why couldn't you just bring your own Blu-ray and say, this is what I want to watch, you know?
yeah, hook this up to you.
Yeah.
I can't remember the last time I was in a movie theater. I think the last movie I saw was maybe the last Star Wars movie.
I don't even remember the last movie I saw before COVID. I don't remember the last thing I saw in the theater. It'd been a while since I saw a movie.
I went to the Alamo Draft House, saw Jojo Rabbit, I think.
Here's a question. Where are the next Spielbergs coming from?
Oh, that's a good question.
I don't know if there is another Spielberg, because I think everything going from film to digital has just changed the landscape, and not in a good way. I think it's taken a lot of the art out of cinema, in my opinion.
Well, I think the guy, what's his name? He directed the last Blade Runner movie, and he just did Dune. Mm-hmm. That guy's badass.
Yeah.
He's up there.
I think, like, back in the day when they were shooting on film, you had to become more creative, like Spielberg, like using the barrels. You were under a tremendous amount of pressure. It cost so much money to burn through so much film that you had to think on your feet. Where nowadays, shooting on digital, you can just do it 1,000 times. You know, just keep doing it over and over and over again, because it doesn't cost you I mean, it costs you obviously crew and cast and all that sort of expense, but you're not dealing with that whole film aspect where it's like, we need to get the shot and we get to, you know, I just feel like it created another challenge that made those filmmakers from that time period, they're more impressive to me than the tools that they have today. I have more respect for that type of filmmaking, like Carpenter and Spielberg and Lucas and all these guys that had to invent it, you know?
From what you said, do you think because of that, there is a lack of like that group of directors that kind of like look to each other for, you know, like you had the Spielbergs, the De Palmas, the
Zemeckis, and
you know what I mean? And nowadays, a lot of these guys are going straight to TV shows, like, let's say, like The Mandalorian. The people who were involved in that show, I think, are some of the best because they love the genre. You know what I mean? So for us fans watching that show, we are so into it because of the love that comes from the opposite side of it. You know what I mean? I don't see that a lot in movies anymore.
I think that it goes back to, I think it's easier now to not be creative.
That's what I'm getting at.
It's easier now to not have to be forced to use your imagination to solve a problem out of necessity.
Same with music. It's the same exact thing for music.
Exactly. Yes.
Because
you don't have to figure it. Yes, you're right. Yeah.
They talk about new bands coming out, and then when I hear it, I'm like, this is the same stuff. Nothing's different here. There's nobody challenging.
Yeah. Well, just even in the studio, it's like, as a drummer, you could go in and slop through a fucking take and you could go and digitally fix it. You know,
Absolutely.
where back in the day, you had to nail it. Your timing had to be perfect, you know?
Exactly. And that's the thing, too. There's no soul in it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And there is no challenge because it can be just, oh, here's a perfect 4 bars of a perfect kick. Let's just take it and just keep doing it.
Yeah.
You know, back in the day when the guy who used to have the art of cutting a piece of tape and splicing it together, you know, it's not that way anymore. And I think it's the same to be said about movies. So if you're a director nowadays, you're making certain movies. Like what was the movie that won the Oscar? The Asian movie.
Parasite.
Loved it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, loved it. Wasn't anything that was. There was no special effects in it, but there was something about that movie that was just like, I loved it. Everything about it. You know.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, man. Americans, they'll take anything nowadays.
Because technology has gotten so advanced, anyone can go make a movie on their iPhone, and you don't have to learn a craft anymore. You don't have to learn your craft before you become a professional. That's gone. Everyone's a professional suddenly. If you got one of these, you're a professional at anything.
But that's exactly, and the metaphor that I could kind of use for the whole industry is like American Idol, okay? None of those people worked at it, really. They didn't get in a fucking van or a bus and go across country and just sleep on people's floors and play a show in this shit place or that shit place. They got up and they were judged. And they learned that way. And that's how a lot of people were learning. That just, let me watch this YouTube tutorial. Oh, that's easy. I can do that, you know? That's what it's come down to. Whereas, like, we are on this thing talking about when we were younger, going to experience things, and then it built from there. Nobody does that anymore.
Right. Because no one's telling stories anymore because there's no story. They're not learning how to tell a story. They're not going through anything. They're not going through any kind of challenges or agony or this or no one. Everyone's isolated and they're in here and they're not living a life, and so they're not telling stories. It used to be telling music, movies. It all used to be about telling a story and the way someone tells each person is unique of how I'm going to tell this story. And no one's really doing that anymore. No one's telling stories. We're just looking at stuff like a video game now, where we're listening to electronic music that really isn't telling us a story. It's just sounds, you know. We've lost the art of storytelling.
Yeah. Well, you know, the other thing is I'm so grateful for the time we grew up in, because Think about kids today having this same conversation we're having now, 40 years from now, 45 years from now. And they're not going to be like, oh, I remember what theater I was in when I saw. They're going to be like, oh, remember when you watched that on YouTube? Remember YouTube? Oh, I remember when I downloaded that song. I was in my bedroom. You know, I mean, their fucking stories are not going to be exciting. But the other thing is happening because of social media, and I've said this before, because of the internet and everything being at your fingertips, there's no sense of nostalgia anymore. There's no, nostalgia is lost. People don't understand what it's like to like see a photo of a place we used to go to when we were kids that doesn't exist anymore. And like, oh my God, look at that. You know, I haven't seen that, because every place is being documented 24/7. You can find a photo of any place that exists right now for the rest of their lives, where there's stuff we try to find that doesn't exist, and they can't relate to that, you know?
Exactly. And that's a good point that you made, because a lot of times people are buying into our nostalgia.
Yeah.
Things that we experienced firsthand, like going to see Van Halen in 1983. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
People only see videos of it because they can't live it. They can't smell it. They can't, you know? So like I said, they live it, and they live through our nostalgia. I was just watching, 2020 had this thing on John Lennon last night. I don't know if any of you guys watched it. It was a great piece. They spoke to the people who were working in the hospital at the time it happened, the police, everything. It was a really good story, and how John escaped to New York because that's where he felt comfortable. No, everybody left him alone here. He wasn't the Beatle John. He was just John. Of course, you guys know all this story, and the story that really gets me is his killer, and how he was there during the day, and he was very awkward around John. Someone else was telling the story about how he came over to John, and John's like, "Oh, do you want me to sign this for you?" And he did, and gave it back to him, and you could see that picture that was taken.
Yeah.
And then John was in the studio, and he wanted to go back home that night to say goodnight to Sean before he went to sleep. And that's when it happened. He just came out of nowhere and just shot him. And he shot him 5 times. Didn't shoot him once, shot him 5 times. And it to me, it's just like why he would do something like that. And still to this day, why someone would want to take someone's life, especially him. Let's face it, John Lennon back then was pretty big.
Yeah.
And it just makes you wonder, you know, would he still be alive today, and what music he would have made? Would the Beatles have reunited? You know, who knows? You know,
I think the Beatles would have reunited.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Especially with George getting sick and everything, you know. I would think the Beatles would have gotten back together and did something, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And then the thing is, what kind of set list would they have done?
yeah, they probably would have reunited at Live Aid or something, you know.
That's what I said too. I told Jericho that, because we did this fake set list, and we started it off, of course, with Sgt. Pepper, because you would have to. And then they do a few Beatles songs, and then they break off into their solo album songs, and then come back and do the rest of the Beatles, you know. And it would end on "All You Need Is Love," because that's what it's all about, you know.
Yeah.
So in my mind, that's how I see it.
You know, people need to get out and live. They need to put the phones down, stop watching TV, and you know, get out there and live, so you can create art and tell stories, and be and we'd all treat each other better too. We'd all be in a better state. This country would be in a better state if we all lived a little better, you know, our quality of life.
I totally agree with you, dude.
Yeah.
And it's like, stop being so hateful, dude. It's like, if this guy likes the color red and you're not too partial about red, well, see his side, why he likes red, you know?
Right.
I don't need to use red. I don't know why I said
And on that note, everyone, good night.
What do you have against red? Do you not like red caps? What are you getting at, Charlie?
Yeah. Anybody notice, like, after Trump got sick, his makeup changed?
I honestly don't believe he was sick. That's my belief. But we're not going to get into that.
Yeah.
I don't believe it.
I don't believe he ever had it. I think
it was a Bob Roberts moment. If you've ever seen the movie Bob Roberts.
Yeah.
I'm kind of going maybe a little further. You know, he's bringing up all the Osama bin Laden conspiracy theories now. I think Trump died from COVID and he's been replaced with an actor. Yeah, it's an impersonator now, and that's why he can't answer any questions because he really doesn't know the answers. That's my excuse right there. If that's right. And there you go. Boom.
Right. Anyway, Jaws 1 is number 1. Jaws 2 is number 2.
But let's face it, Jaws 3, greatest Jaws ever. It was in 3D. Which other shark was in 3D, Charlie? Yep. Exactly. Absolutely. Right? Best Jaws ever 3D. Jaws, how many times they could do another Jaws? I don't want a remake. A reboot, new story, new family, new everything. Cool. Just I don't want to see someone else playing Quint. I don't want to see it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No,
unless it's his son. Unless it's his son.
Will.
Great impersonation.
It'll be like Kevin Hart as Quint.
Could you imagine?
Oh.
Ice Cube will play Hooper.
Right. Exactly.
Could you ever imagine Lee Marvin doing the Quint role?
Wow.
That's what he originally wanted. Was
right.
Lee Marvin.
I kind of could. It's such an iconic character, but I could see Lee Marvin doing it and doing his own thing and probably being pretty good because Lee Marvin was great. But, you know, when people talk about Christopher Lee playing Dr. Loomis, you know, because they offered it to him and he turned it down. I cannot picture Christopher Lee playing Loomis. I just can't.
Yeah. You can't beat Robert Shaw. You just can't.
No, you can't. I mean, it wouldn't be as good. Yeah, it wouldn't be as good for sure. All right, well, we'll let you go. We've jazzed you out.
Thank you. Pleasure.
Yeah, man. It's good talking to you again. It's been a while, man. I miss you.
I miss you too. This has been jawsome, and let's do it again.
Hey, can you guys hold on just a sec? There's somebody at my door. Hold on.
Yeah.
It's a land shark.
Yeah.
Oh, would I love to see that. Oh, would I do that.
Andy Graham.